What's going on, everyone? Alliance Orc here, and welcome back to another video. And in this video, we are going to be ranking the racial abilities of every single race in World of Warcraft from worst to best. If you guys enjoy content like this, make sure to subscribe, like this video, because if this video gets 300 likes, I will go through and I will rank the passive abilities too. But for this video, we're going to be specifically looking at the actual abilities, the abilities that you can interact with by binding them to your action bars or hotkeys or whatever. And those are the abilities we're going to be looking at. And starting off our list with the absolute worst, most dog water racial. And I know like 25% of you are probably clicking off this video right now. It's Blood Elf. So when you look at a class that has fallen from grace as hard as any others when it comes to their racials, we're looking at the Blood Elves here, because if this was back in 2020 or even earlier, it would be one of the best racials, because Blood Elves used to have a racial that was an AoE silence. Do you know how many classes can do an AoE silence nowadays? I might be wrong, but I'm quite sure it's only two, and that's Demon Hunters with their sigils and Boomkins with Solar Beam. And Solar Beam is a 1 minute cooldown, so Boomkin's still catching strays on that. But what the racial does now is remove one beneficial effect from all enemies within 8 yards. That's literally it. When Blizzard nerfed this ability fell and hit every single branch, in my opinion, along the way down. And there's when are you ever going to be using Arcane Torrent to remove one beneficial magic effect? It's next to non-existent on use, versus back when it was an AoE silence, all the Blood Elves were using it. This was like the most popular ability popping off for Blood Elves. But that is where our video is going to start, with the Blood Elves at the dead bottom. Also, a little disclaimer, majority of the showcasings here are going to be located outside King's Rest. I'm farming for the King's Rest Raptor. Bear with me. Coming in next on our list, we have the Pandaren with their racial ability, Quaking Palm. Strikes a target with lightning speed, incapacitating them for 4 seconds, and it turns off your auto attack. So first off, why would you want that? And second off, a lot of classes are usually pretty much immune to being incapacitated, and this incapacitation also aggroes them as well, meaning it's not like a monk's paralysis, it's actually worse. And yeah, when it comes to racial abilities, that's literally all a panda has going for them. But is it as bad as our next contestant on this list? And our next entry on this list comes with everyone's favorite bite-sized character, the gnomes. So I'm going to be completely transparent with y'all. When I was making the script for this video and getting everything sorted out, I actually looked at gnomes and straight up said, what the hell is there racial? Because that's what everyone wants to hear when they're trying to have the best racial in the game, right? Yeah, it's Escape Artist. A 1 minute cooldown that escapes the effect of any immobilization or movement reduction effect. Yeah, it's good for PvP, but when else are you really going to be using that? Like, cool, I guess. Like, if your racial is so forgettable that it's like not even in the process of anyone's mind, that should tell you how good it actually isn't. Coming in next on our list, we have the Colterans, and I, much to my surprise, am a fan of the Colterans racial, though it does still leave a lot to be desired, and that racial is Haymaker. I love it primarily for its animations, because the animations are cool. Plus, when Colterans first came out, I have this fond memory of punching that boss in Nomergon, watching him fly off the cliff and then literally jumping down after him. So, I mean, it is definitely, you wind up, you punch, you do some damage. The stun and knockback is, like when it says knocking them back substantially, it's actually a really respectable knockback, all things considered. And like I said, the animations are cool because you're literally just winding up and you just pop off. It's actually like, it's cool and all, but the thing is how often are you actually like outside of PvP? Because I see this being really good in PvP, but I mean, I just feel like you're not really utilizing that as much as you could, and it does have a 2.5 minute cooldown, which I really feel hinders it, and we'll talk about that more in a minute. Coming up next on our list, we have the Nightborn. Now, the Nightborn are the first class on this list that have two racials to go over. One of them being the Arcane Pulse, which is just a AoE slow. It's cool and all. And then, they have the Cantrips, which summons a book that serves as a mailbox. You know what else serves as a mailbox? Kathy Stamp Whistle also serves as a mailbox. The Radiant Lynx Whistle also serves as a mailbox. And there's the, I can't remember the name of the toy off the top of my head. There's a bird toy that you get from the Centaur people in Dragonflight. Guess what? That one serves as a mailbox too. Essentially, yeah, they have the Eldritch Grimoire to be a mailbox, but you've already got toys that do that, and they're omni useful for every class. So I mean, and plus, if that's not enough conviction for you, what about the Brutosaur, about the Gilded Brutosaur? Need a mailbox? Just use that. Like, honestly, when are you ever using the Nightborn mailbox racial when you could just show off your $90 Brutosaur mount or all your mailbox based toys? It's it really just kind of leaves a lot to be desired. Granted, it has a much better cooldown of 10 minutes versus the other one's 3 hours, but like I said, the Brutosaur one just doesn't have a cooldown. You just mount up. Bada bang, bada boom. And next up on our list, we have the Drakthir, who have actually, I'm going to say two racials, but it's actually three, and that is Visage / Chosen Identity, which basically allows you to morph into your non-dragon form when you're not in combat. If you're not a if you're not a evoker, then you can maintain your blood elf form outside of combat at all times. And then their other ability is Soar, which is basically a flight mount, or as I call it, worst druid form. Because guess what? You can't pick herbs or nodes or really anything like this, like druids can do. Now, if they had made it to where you can change your visage to actually be like different races and stuff, I mean, let's face it, it's all over Dragonflight. It's everywhere. You see orcs that can turn into dragons, you see Volperas that can turn into dragons. Like, it's everywhere. Humans, blood elves, like, basically anything can take on the visage. Or a Drakthir should be able to take on the visage of any race. And if that was the case, this one may have very well been number one. Like, that has held it back so hard on this list purely because of what limitations are put on it. And if anyone from Blizzard is watching this, well, help us out. you know? Like, I'm quite sure no one would have a problem with the chosen identity being able to be different races. I'm quite sure everyone would love it, actually. Surprise! We're not in Korthia for this next, or we're not in King's Rest for this next one, but that's besides the point. Next up on our list, we have the Void Elves with their ability Spatial Rift. So spatial rift is essentially just a very, in the most literal sense, a linear teleport. As you just shoot that forward, hit it again, and boom, teleported. And you can only do that once every 3 minutes. My issue with this ability and why it's so low is just the fact that it's too literal when I say it's linear. Like, you really have no flexibility with this racial, and if they did give that flexibility, I feel like it would be more worth using and more understanding of the 3 minute cooldown. But aside from that, you're literally just given a straight shot line that can only go so far. And if you don't use it in X amount of time, it just disappears. So that's a thing too. Right, next on our list, we have the Earthen. The Earthen are the most newest race implemented into battle or into World of Warcraft, and their racial is actually it's not too bad. It's Azerite Surge, which really plays into a lot of the Evokers cast, how they have that little bar that fills up. But I mean, aside from that, it's basically a frontal, and that's really just like all it does. Like rank one deals, I guess, flat AOE damage. Rank 2 heals allies, and then rank 3 deals 6k additional fire damage to the highest health enemy. So it's just a frontal AOE that has multiple effects. So you see, we're starting to get into the racials that are actually really good. And the only reason I kept them this low on the list is simply because, well, they're still relatively new. So I feel like their abilities are still in the process of being perfected and utilized. And next up on our list, we have the Worgen race. As I affectionately love this race, their racials really just kind of leave a lot to be desired, with them, just like the Drakthir, having a land mount racial instead of flying, and a movement speed increase in Dark Flight, which at this point is one of the shortest cooldowns we've seen in this video in Dark Flight, and has multiple uses, whether you're speed clearing a raid for a mount run, need that movement speed buff to get out of mechanics. Like their racials are actually like very, very useful, and well, Dark Flight is. I can't remember the last time I've seen someone actually use Running Wild. I can't tell you. Anywho, moving on. And next up, we have the High Mountain Tauren, who have their racial ability of Bull Rush, which is essentially a weaker version of Charge for warriors, but you also stun anyone in your way. So proper utilization of this racial can actually prove to be very, very strong and useful. And honestly, it's just kind of fun to just be like a little bull and just going on a rampage. But yeah, High Mountain Tauren are next up on our list. Next up on our list, we have the Lightforged Draenei, who have two racials, one of which is borderline useless, but the other one it's got its uses, being another AoE, but this time the AoE is not frontal. Let's see if I can find some mobs to showcase it on real quick for you all. This Golden Beetle's perfect. Yeah, Light's Judgment is a 3 minute cooldown and just drops that AoE beam onto the target. And the crazy thing is that beam gives, the only way people know that they have that beam on them is by a visual indicator. There is no buff or debuff that says, hey, this is about to blow you and your friends up, which I think is sleeper strong. But then we look at the 15-minute cooldown of Forge of Light, and it's just, unless you're a blacksmith, this is literally just a dead button. There's like no purpose. The purpose isn't there. All right, and now we have the Draenei, the OG Draenei, not the Lightforge, but the regular Draenei and their racial ability, Gift of the Naru, which, if you are an Eridar, gives you a nice little fell symbol. But this one is actually where the racial abilities start to get really good. So if your class has not been mentioned yet, then there is probably a reason that your racials are too good to be at the beginning of this video. And Draenei have a 5-second heal that heals them for 20% per second. That is kind of nutty. Well, 20% of the caster's total health. Okay, yeah, no, this dog. I misread it. I misread it. Yeah, no, this one's kind of dog. 20% of the caster's total health over 5 seconds. Yeah, no, that's absolute dog. I misread that. No, this one sucks. And yeah, this is where the racials start getting good. Because after this point in the video, it's just bangers from here. And coming in next on our list, we have the Blood Fury ability from Orcs. This ability is just a bursty DPS increase, and that's basically all it does, which for some classes, more burst means more damage, means hey, look at me, I'm Mr. Top of the Charts. But if Blood Fury is here, I want y'all to take 5 minutes. The OG WoW players know. If Blood Fury is here, what is the next racial I'm about to say? I will give you guys 5 seconds before I make the cut. So if your guess was the troll race or their ability berserking, congratulations, you were correct. The troll ability berserking is honestly no different from Blood Fury. It's literally, hey, can I copy your homework? Yeah, but just make sure it doesn't look too obvious. So yeah, nothing really more to say about the troll's racial that I didn't already say with the orc racial. And on that note, we have next on our list the Maghar orcs with their racial ancestral call. And this one, again, is basically just like the previous two, Nothing really more to say about it besides, oh, you're making allied races for orc? Well, let's basically give them the same racial. And this is my main, so if my main is this low, that tells you how unbiased I'm trying to be. But there's just what are you gonna really do about that? It's kind of same thing 3 times over, in my opinion. Moving away from saying the same thing over and over and over again, we have the Mechagon gnomes. Now, these gnomes have two racials, being the Hyper-Organic Light Originator, or as I call it, Hollow, which is basically a racial mirror image, and would be hilarious on a mage, because of course it would. And then their other racial ability is the Skeleton Pinky, which is a universal lockpicking ability for any mechagnome. So if you're a mechagnome and you have a lockbox, pinky's up, man. Unlock it and move on. You don't need a rogue. You don't need a blacksmithing key. You just need your trusty pinky. And I feel like that's actually kind of cracked for for honestly one of the least liked races for Alliance, because you never see mechagnomes. And I think it's because their customization options are just so limited. But that's probably a topic for a different video. And next up, we have the Dark Iron Dwarves. So Dark Iron Dwarves have two racial abilities, being Fireblood, which is basically like the orcs and troll racial minus affected. It also cleanses, curses, magic, bleeds, and diseases from you, as well as poisons, on top of the bursting DPS buff. So it's basically better than those three. And then to top it all off, you have the Mole Machine, which is a free teleport on a 30-minute cooldown to specific places throughout Azeroth. And I'm already planning on making a video regarding this, so, just be patient with me. I just gotta find the time. But at this point in the video, we are at the ones I consider to be the absolute bangers of the bangers. These are, in my opinion, the best ones, and I honestly had a hard time ranking these ones. So, next up on our list, we have the Goblins. So, Goblins they are the first class in this video that have 3 racials to talk about. So, of course, they're going to get up really high on this list because of that. And the first racial is Rocket Jump. Just a little nice bounce forward. Very useful, very versatile. And then you have the Rocket Barrage, which unfortunately is on a similar global cooldown to your Rocket Jump, which is why I couldn't put it any higher on this list. But the one reason I did put it as high as I did is for the Pack Hobgoblin Gobber. So when Warband became a thing, they gave us the Warband ability, Warband Bank Dissonance Inhibitor. However, goblins have this 2 times over because your Hobgoblin can also give you access to your Warband Bank as well. Meaning that with the Warband change, this racial ability got absolutely stupidly good. Like, really, really good. Next up on our list, we have the Tauren. Now, the Tauren have access to a 1.5-minute cooldown called War Stomp, which is a free AoE stun. Now, you might think, what good is an AoE stun? You'd be surprised. The War Stomp racial is used by numerous Tauren for numerous things. It is like probably the most used racial since the Blood Elf nerf. But just because it's the most used doesn't mean it is the best one, in my opinion. It is still very, very, very good. Tauren representation is strong here. And it is because War Stomp is that damn good. It is that ability that you want. And it has earned its spot this high up on the list. All right, and next up on our list, we have the Dwarves. Yes, I did just make a random dwarf that I'm going to probably delete once this video is over, but you know what? I like the Dark Iron Dwarfs better because they're literally just dwarfs on fire. And for the dwarves, they are this high up because of their racial ability, Stone Form, which is basically the defensive version of the Dark Iron Dwarf's ability. And I can just tell you this right now, you can never not have enough defensive as a class, especially as a tank. Defensives, in my opinion, are everything in WoW because you're not doing damage if you're dead. So having that extra 2-minute cooldown for Stone Form, which reduces all physical damage taken by 10%, is actually a pretty damn good racial. Next up on our list, we have the Undead. So the Undead have 2 racials, and one of them is way more useful than the other. The first of that racials being Cannibalize, which essentially allows you to feast on the corpse of a humanoid or beast. Hold on a second. Yeah. Okay, what the heck? Okay, it's humanoid or undead corpses. My bad. I thought it was humanoid and beast. Like, come on. Anywho, humanoid and beasts you can just eat, but if you take any damage, the ability is kind of mid. Let's just rip the band-aid off. Cannibalize is mid, but the flavor text for it, for what it stands for, is so damn good. You cannot tell me it's not. But the real ability is Will of the Forsaken. So I know you're all probably thinking, what about all the other like things that just get you out of like situations and stuff from earlier? Like I don't think we've had like escape artists for gnomes. Why isn't that this high up? Well, that is because fear is one of the most commonly employed forms of CC in raids and PvP alike, meaning Will of the Forsaken actually sees a ton of use. And especially for PvP, it does not pop your PvP trinket. So it's like you have that extra opt out of a form of CC. I might be wrong on that. I haven't PvP'd on Undead before. But I'm fairly certain Will of the Forsaken does not share the. We'll find out together real quick. Because I'm fairly certain that it does not share the same cooldown. So we're just gonna vibe here for a few seconds. This is like not intended for the video, but it's more of a learning process for me and you if you don't know. But we're gonna find out real quick. Does an insignia put your racial on cooldown? Okay, it does, but only for 30 seconds. So it's not like it's the end of the world. But yeah, it's still a really good cooldown and used a lot by many people for many situations. Because, raiders don't have that trinket opt out for fears. So it's just that extra oh shit button for you. And taking our fourth place for all of the racials ranked from worst to best, we have the human racial Will to Survive, which will remove basically every form of stun effect, and it's basically the undead ability, but so much better. And I can't state enough how strong this ability is. Again, just like undead's, I've seen it used many, many times in many, many situations, and honestly, it doesn't get more OG than this. And like I said, many people use this ability just because it's literally all stun effects, not just charm and fear and sleep. Any kind of stun effect, you're out of it for 3 minutes. And that is massive. And coming in at number 3, we have Shadow Meld, the Night Elf racial. Shadow Meld is basically the core essence of a rogue slapped onto a Night Elf, slapped onto any playable class a Night Elf can be. And though you cannot move while Shadow Meld is up, 2-minute cooldown is very short, and this ability has been utilized several times for numerous success in numerous things, giving classes the ability to drop out of combat that normally wouldn't even have the option to do so. It is an incredible racial, and I would put it at number 2 at the least if it wasn't for something very vital that number 2 can do. Coming in at number 2 on our list, this is the penultimate winner. It is the Volpera. And the Volpera have 2 distinct racials. Technically 3, but 2 of them can't exist without each other. And the first racial is Bag of Tricks. Pull out your chosen tricks from the bag and use it on a target enemy or ally, and it'll either heal them, give them a movement speed increase, or do damage. And yeah, it is. And you have like rummage through your bag, which again basically like alters how your bag of tricks works. But the real reason why Volpera is number 2 on this list is for their ability. Where is it? Make camp. Make camp is a 10-minute cooldown, and then return to camp is a 1-hour cooldown. Would you like to know what these abilities do? They will make your hearth anywhere in Azeroth. Anywhere. As long as it's not in a dungeon or raid or an instance scenario, if you want to put your inn in the volcano in Ungoro Crater, you have an inn in the volcano in Ungoro Crater. If you want your inn to be in the caverns of time, congratulations, you now have a ulterior hearth to the caverns of time. If you want your inn to be in the middle of the Mount Draxus arena or in the middle of the Stormwind Castle, if you can make it happen, you make it happen. You know, essentially the world is your oyster, and with racials, it doesn't get much bigger than this. But in my opinion, there's only one racial that tops that. Coming in at our number one spot is the Zandalari Trolls. So, what is it about the Zandalari Trolls that make them, in my opinion, the best race with their racials? Well, for one, you have a free Goblin Glider in Pterodax Swoop. You have a free heal in regeneration, as long as you don't get hit. And the big one, you might as well say this class has 8 racials. Embrace of the Loa. Embrace of the Loa gives you one of 6 buffs. These 6 buffs being Embrace of Akunda, which your healing abilities have a chance to heal their target for an additional amount. You have Embrace of Bwansamdi. Your damaging abilities have a chance to deal X amount of shadow damage and heal you for 100% of the damage done. Embrace of Gonk, which is just a 5% movement speed increase, helps with speed running and everything. Embrace of Kimball, which will apply a bleed to the target. Embrace of Kragwa, which will grant you additional health and attack power. And the Embrace of Paku, which gives you 4% crit. Like, that alone is just so much to unpack for one race. Granted, it does have a 5-day cooldown, but I feel like that cost merits the justification. But how do you guys feel? Did I get this right? Maybe I messed something up. Let me know in the comments down below. And while you're down there, let me know what your favorite race is. And of course, subscribe if you do enjoy this type of content. 300 likes, and we'll cover the passive racials too. But with that being said, I will see you guys in the next video.